like those of B1039, Up North Radio, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Time for Curries Corner with Pat Curry.
Hey, Jen, what about me?
And you too, Pete Kent. Brought to you by Big Rapids Pennzoil and Auto Repair, Seth Winger at the Winger Insurance Agency, Gilbert's Carpets Plus Color Tile, Barrington Firearms and Training Center, DW2 Drywall,
the Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids, and the Janowitz Family Funeral Home in Remus,
and Michigan Landscape and Excavate.
There's a man named Pat Curry, he's got a passion for the news. Brings the stories of Big Rapids and Mecosta County to you. Every Tuesday morning, you know just where to go. Tune in to B1039, he's got the scoop, don't you know? Welcome to Curries Corner. With Pete Kent by his side, they'll keep you informed and entertained, taking you on a ride from the latest happenings to the heart of the community. Come on over to Big Rapids and see what's on TV. Oh, wait, now you tell me it's not TV. Well, that's okay, just listen with me. We're on the radio, so now let's go. Time for Curries Corner on your radio. Yeah. Tune in and turn it up, let's have some fun.
Bob, good morning, how are you? Huh? That's a long introduction. Half the hour's gone by.
Well, we had to have that because Pete's here, so we had to have the Pete part in there.
Oh, yeah, I know. He likes to hear his name. But, good morning, Bob. You're looking well.
Well, trying.
Bob, trim your eyebrows a little bit, will you?
Yeah. Well.
You know, you look like Huey Lewis, the guy who was head of the Miners years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not the vice president in charge of the eyebrows. So.
I told the folks back at Curry's Corner this morning that we was going to have my guest here, and I'm excited about having her on here. And there's a big introduction when I introduce her to everybody here, but I also promised everybody that I would have Pete's mic off, and they all applauded and said, great, we don't want to hear him. We want to hear what you got to say about this great guest you have here. Oh, you know I'm only teasing you, old man. What was it this morning you said? You had to answer for everything, and some guy said, how the heck's he know all this? I said, well, he's 87 years old. He's been through it. He's lived it. So it's kind of unfair for us guys who are only 71.
Yeah, well, you know something? I got to say hi to Jeannie Fribley.
You go ahead.
You know that, and I got to say hi to my guys from the FedEx coming out of Cadillac.
Yeah.
But I got to say something for the Zach man. I promised Kim Wells that I would say something about Zach, and that's the Pennzoil place, and that is the place to get your stuff done. Whatever you need, he's the auto mechanic of the Big Rapids.
Well, he's got tires too.
Yeah,
but you know, Bob, before we go any further, I just want to say thank you, good Lord. You have a lot of Christians down here on earth. We had some beautiful services, Easter Vigil. Holy Thursday was wonderful, and Holy Friday was great. And then Easter Vigil Saturday night at St. Paul's. The place was packed. Unbelievable. And my guest was there, and she was a sponsor of one of them. We can talk about that in a little bit. Everybody's saying, who's your guest? Introduce your guest. Well, this is kind of the introduction here. And Sunday morning I was on my tractor, and me and God, and I have 1039 on B1039 WBZX. I have to throw that in there for Dom and Jen. I love them.
80s and more.
80s and more. But I had Resurrection Life was on, and Pastor Ross. I mistakenly call him Rob once in a while. You know, my brain isn't very big. And anyways, Pastor Ross, and he does a great job. And I was talking to Dan Spadowski about the service, and I say, I'm a devoted Catholic. I love my Father Jagger. I think the services were just wonderful, if not probably the best I've ever been to, because he really is a spiritual leader. He's definitely the best I've ever had at St. Mary's.
He should be a cardinal or up there to be Pope.
Well, anyway, so I was telling Dan, I said, but I did enjoy your Pastor Ross at Resurrection's sermon. He has some great stories. He interacts with present day and what the Bible says. And Dan said that place was packed too. So, I mean, if you look at Big Rapids, 90% of the people, I say 90, I'm saying 9 out of 10 probably were in church. Remember what they just said about the way we're supposed to live, and this would be a better world. It's love, hope, and faith. Have faith and have hope, and then love. We got to love one another, right? Right, Bob? Did you go to church? You were one of the 9, or one of the ones out of the 9. You were one of the 10%. But you know what? It's okay, Bob, but we're going to get you there yet. Anyway, that being said, I talk too much, I know, but I love you people out there. Just remember that, and we have to love one another. My guest today, there really isn't an introduction. It's Renee Kent. And I you know, over the few years that we've been on radio, Pete and I, Pete has never requested Renee Kent to be on the radio. Because some people out there are going to say, oh, Pete's got his daughter on there. Yeah, he does. Well, Pete didn't even know I even asked her. And he's requested others in the school district to come on, and the AD and the superintendent and other principals or whatever, teachers and this and that, but never his daughter. And I think I've been watching our educational system for many, many years, and I just want to touch base on who had an influence on me when I was in school and why. Bob Williams. He straightened my ace out when I was in 9th grade. From there on, my whole life changed, and I'm thankful for Bob Williams. I really am. He was a great football coach at Big Rapids for many years. He was assistant principal, then principal. He passed away here a couple years ago, and it brought tears to a lot of people's eyes because he was so good and such a great influence on a lot of people. And I remember Mr. Donnelly back years ago as a superintendent. I myself didn't know him that well, but I know he was a big influence on people. Moving right along, Linda Myers was another one that was very instrumental on bringing ladies to the forefront on positions of authority. Linda started out as a driver's ed teacher, ended up being a superintendent at Morley Stanwood High School. And one of the school board members came behind the station one day. They had a gal from Birch Run, and she was in the running along with Linda, and he goes, what do you think? I said, I don't think there's anybody that has a heart for the educational process in our country than Linda Myers. So anyway, the rest is history. She became a superintendent, but before that, she was the high school principal here and Everett, I think. But anyway, she accomplished what a lot of ladies since have. So she was kind of like the pioneer, broke the ice to saying, hey, these ladies can be a superintendent too. Barb Borth was another one that was an influence on me, even though I didn't have her for a teacher nor a principal, but I saw what she did at Brookside. I was on the board at that time, and I said, yeah, she's a great fit there. She went to the middle school, straightened that out. I mean, she took the middle school, and it was kind of in a bad way over there, and she took that middle school and said, no, this is the way we're going to do it. She was a disciplinarian, and we were very thankful for her years of service. Then she went on to St. Mary's, and we're very thankful for her being at St. Mary's. That gets me to Renee Kent. Renee Kent started an educational system. I don't know when. We're going to find that out about her life. And I know she was AD for a while, and I don't know what else, but we're going to find that out too, folks. I'm going to let her talk, believe it or not. You know how I am. But now she's a principal at Riverview. And you know, the greatest compliment, I always use that word, I guess, and what's the other word? I guess I'll just leave it at compliment for a father from a daughter is to excel in the field that you go in. And I don't know of a father probably more proud than Pete Kent is of his daughter, Renee. Now, he's got 2 other daughters that he loves just dearly as well, and a son. But this one here, Renee, has accomplished a lot in her lifetime, and she did it on her own. She had nobody there to say, okay, here's your butter and put it on your bread. You know, I'm puffing her up this morning because she needs to know this from the community. And I see her in the paper. She makes sure she's a hell of a marketer. I mean, her dad, everybody knows what Pete did. He was a promoter for others and himself. And he's a promotional, what were you called, Pete? You did...
motivational speaker.
Yes, motivative speaker. And a great one at that. Well, Renee follows in his footstep, only in a different lane of traffic. She went to the education. And, we kid him about being the blue ribbon. We'll talk about that a little bit, but she's always getting awards. And I always like to tease him about it, and I'll say, well, that's because of you. Well, it's not because of you, but the little blood of you didn't hurt her any. But good morning, Renee.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, really.
Can I talk or what?
Yeah, you are awesome at talking.
Wow, I talk too much. I apologize, but it came from the heart. My words come from the heart.
I know that. It's awesome.
Sometimes my wife says you don't have much of a heart, and I believe that she's probably right. But this morning, I tell you, we have you on here because I want the little girls out there and the little boys out there. It doesn't matter what gender you are, you can excel if you believe in yourself. And you've come a long way. I want to ask you, how old were you when you decided that you wanted to get into education? I don't know where you went to college, if you went to Ferris or what you did. Where did you start? Let's start from that.
So obviously I grew up in Big Rapids. I went to Big Rapids High School, played tennis. Then I played tennis for Ferris. And I was actually going the pre-med route. And I got my degree in pre-med. And I was applying for medical schools my junior year. And one of the things that I had to do when I met with Wayne State, they wanted me to go interview 10 doctors. And this was at the height of malpractice, or the start of malpractice. And so when I went and interviewed the doctors, out of 10 doctors, 8 said, take another lane. And so I had to contemplate that, And while I was going through my high school years and my college years, I had people in my ear all the time saying, you need to go into education. You need to go into education. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. And so what I did was I finished out my degree, and I was also playing go with him and be a tennis pro in North Carolina and Florida. So I pursued that for a while, and I absolutely loved it. I was working with people, and I did work with kids. And then I decided, maybe I should think about going into education. And so I took some classes I was a biology major, so I had to take some classes at Gull Lake at Michigan State's biological station. So I was completely turned on from that. And I went back, and I think I nailed my education degree real quick, because much easier classes than the science classes that I took a lot of.
How old were you then?
Yeah, I was in my 20s.
20s. So you were a tennis coach. How old were you then?
So I came back to help the Big Rapids boys team. I was the coach for the boys, and I was probably 23, maybe. And then I started helping with the girls. And then I would take off for my season of tennis down south. Then I came back, and slowly, I ended up being the head coach. I think I was the head coach for 18 or 19 years.
At high school?
Yeah, and some of the best times ever were coaching. And coaches have a lot on their plate, but I'll tell you what, the relationships and the fun that I had with education and kids was a lot.
Where were you teaching then while you were at the high school or elementary?
Yeah, I was a science major. So I was teaching biology, anatomy, chemistry, physics, sophomore, earth science, you name it, I had it.
Right. But, and you were a good what does it take from being a tennis player to a tennis coach? What did you have that you excelled in that? Because I know everybody said you were a great coach.
Yes, thank you.
And so there's a lot of coaches out there, but a lot to say you're a great coach, that kind of puts you up there on a pinnacle there. You might say that a lot of them don't have that. What does it take?
Well, first of all, I have the knowledge for the game, and so that was fine. The whole key to being in education, to being a good educator, is building relationships with people. Mm-hmm. So you want to instill positivity and passion in what they do.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, we had a lot of fun through just the relationships that we built on our tennis teams. We did everything as a unit. We respected each other. We worked hard. We played hard. And I've taken that all the way through my educational pathway.
This is unfair to ask, but of your 18 years of coaching, who sticks in your mind as like an overachiever? That one came on just to play tennis to get out of class, Maybe none of them were.
Yeah.
But there's always that overachiever. Who would that have been?
Yeah, I can't say that there was any student like that or player,
Okay.
but I want to tell you that I pulled, and I think it was Amanda and Stevie Delaney, who were basketball players, that decided to jump onto tennis their junior and senior year, and man, they excelled.
Oh, you're going to make me cry, because you know what? I
Yeah.
went to their matches because
Yes.
Matt was dating her.
Yes.
And I'll never forget, I went up and watched you guys. I think you played up by Ferris, didn't
Yep.
you?
Uh-huh.
It was
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
And they won, and
Yeah.
they are good. Just think if they would have started in their freshman
for
year.
sure. And
But they went quite a ways, didn't they?
Yeah,
That was nice you'd say that.
Yeah.
Folks that didn't know who Amanda is, Amanda Peterson, Brenda and Pete Peterson's daughter. And
Matt Curry's wife.
right,
Yes.
And
my
mother.
my
of
grandchildren's
grandkids.
mother. But
Yes.
just touch on her a little bit.
Yes.
The other night, my grandkids talked to their great-grandmother, Peter's mother, out there in Grant Center, and Joan answered the phone. And so Joan was kind of asking the kids different things, and Maddie May, she's 13 now, and she says, "What sports are you playing?" And she told her, and she goes, "Well, I bet you're really good because your mother was a very good athlete."
Yes.
I'll drop it at that. I won't brag anymore. But anyway, so those two remind you of
Right.
some kind of like overachievers
For
because they only
sure.
played the 1 year.
they played 2 years.
Okay,
they
2
had
years.
It was the Stevie and Pete show.
Oh, really?
And I think they got to, I don't know if Amanda listens to this, but they were there. We went to states. They either got to the quarterfinals or semifinals of states at #1 doubles.
Wow.
And that's in 2 years.
Yeah.
Just because they were good athletes.
Yeah.
And they worked hard.
But you instructed them.
Yes,
You showed,
for sure.
nobody can just pick
Yeah.
up a net and
Right.
What do you call
Racket.
them? Racket. Yeah.
Yeah, we played all year
Shows you how
round.
much I know. Did you?
Oh, yeah. We had those kids, that whole group of kids just wanted it.
Know what? All right. Now I don't want to go too fast here. We might
Yeah.
come back to tennis, but so all of a sudden you got your 18th year and you saw opportunity where?
So I was teaching and
Okay.
coaching.
Yeah.
And then I had the opportunity to go into administration. So I said, I'll go to administration, and I tried to coach for a year. And I spent, when we take these bus rides, I really enjoyed the bus rides because we could bond on the bus. I found myself doing a bunch of work on the bus. And so the players were like, "Come on, coach.
Yeah.
Come on, coach." And I'm like, "Oh, you guys, I have all these obligations." So I finally said, "Not fair to this team, so I'm going to hang it up." And I did, and I miss it.
I bet you do.
I tried to, I've helped a little bit with John Coles a little bit, and I've hit with some other players, but it was
Who took
tough.
over? Greenleaf? No.
I can't remember who it.
I can't either. Pete does.
I think Bob Eastley did it for a little bit
Bob
with
Eastley.
somebody else.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
I don't know why I thought of Russ
Yeah.
Greenleaf, but
Nope, Russ
He was
was
before.
boys.
was he?
Yeah.
Oh, he was before.
He
Yeah.
taught Petey.
Oh my! Folks, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you. Stop for a minute. Life goes by fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Way too fast. So get out there, enjoy the sunshine, and get out there and tell somebody you haven't loved in a long time that you really do love them, that you want forgiveness, and go on with your life and let them
Great.
go on there with life, because you're only hurting yourself, aren't you? So anyway, I'm glad to have you here, Renee.
Yeah, thank you.
So you were a heck of a tennis coach and a heck of a tennis player. Your family, I don't think your dad was much of anything at all as far as sports goes, but he was a worker and a motivator speaker. But Petey was pretty good.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, Petey played for Ferris, and so did my sister Leslie.
Yeah.
And my sister Christy could have, but she chose to not go into the college realm.
How did your family get into tennis so high?
Well, I want to say, back when, my dad would take us to the
Maui?
intermediate school. They had the cement hitting walls and a couple nets down there. I think Rick Worth. Do you remember
Yeah.
that name?
Oh, real well. I know Rick real well.
And there was
Dick's boy.
somebody else down there that were always giving lessons. And so we would go down there, and he'd play with his friend, maybe Al or something like that. And we had these T2000 Wilson rackets that were up and coming, and he always got us the best stuff. We just started that way. We started hitting the tennis ball. My mom started playing, and
What is it about tennis that's intriguing to people? What is it about tennis that kids like? What is it?
well, I think one, you can play it individually or you can play it as a team, and there's a lot of strategy involved, a lot of working and moving, and it can be real it can be real demanding.
My sister Nancy's 78 years old. Her doctor last year told her, you can't play tennis anymore. She loved it. Her son and daughter played Ludington there, and they were both pretty good in it. And Nancy played right up until she was 78, and it just broke her heart.
Yeah.
Broke her heart. He said, no, your body can't take it anymore. And so she had to quit. But there's something about tennis that a 77-year-old, up to 77 years old, she played it every day.
Yep, you
just
can play
loved
that
it.
game.
Ludington and Florida, when she got down there, she played it.
Yes.
None of the rest of us ever did it, and that's kind of why I asked you. It gets in your blood. Once it gets in your blood, it's unlike anything else.
It's great.
John Coles, let's talk about him for a few minutes.
John's awesome.
We had him on here a year ago probably now and talked about his life, and that's what this is all about, Renee Kent's life. It's not about tennis. It's not about swimming or anything like that. It's about who makes up Renee Kent. But anyway, tennis was a big part of your life. John Coles, phenomenal coach too.
We coached together.
When
he first came to Big Rapids, I remember he came down the courts because my team was practicing, and we just hired him as a new English teacher.
Right.
He came down and was like, hey, you know, I hit the ball a little bit, and you need any help? And I'm like, sure. And that was the first time I met John, and John and I are really good friends.
Yes, you are.
We've had some really good times together.
Yeah, but now he's at the helm, and it looks like he's done well.
Yes, he's done very well.
And he's
John's
inspired a lot of kids.
Yes, and he's got that motivation as well, and the positivity to his players really want to work for him and do better, and John's instilled that in them.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So that's your tennis career. So then you went on to become an AD.
Yes.
To me, I think, anyway, of all positions in education, AD is probably the toughest job.
It is.
You're never thanked.
No.
You're never praised for putting a good coach on the field. You're always criticized on who's coaching what sport.
Yes.
It's a pretty tough job. Why in the hell would you do it?
Yes, so...
Was it the money? Did you go to six figures?
Yeah, not at all. I had wanted to get into administration. I had a educational pathway. I wanted to go 5 years in teaching and then start looking into administration. And I think on year 4, David LaPrairie, who was our principal, came to me and said, hey, I'd like to put you in the athletic realm.
He didn't like you, huh?
Yeah. Right. And so I said, okay.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it was a grind. I would go to school 6 o'clock in the morning and leave at 11 o'clock at night. I did not have game managers or anything. It was myself and Lisa Brady, my secretary, who was awesome.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
And we worked hard. It was 6 days a week.
And she was assistant principal, too, by the way.
That came later.
Okay.
So I did the athletic, and it was fun, but it was a lot of work. And
how many years did you do that?
Just 3 years.
Okay.
And so John Coles, Tim Heiss was the principal.
Okay.
And we recruited John Coles to come in, and John did the assistant principal. He went from English teaching, then I think he went up north to Lake State, and we got him to come back down for the assistant principal. So it was John, Tim, and I, and we really administrated well. And John had this interest in sports. So on year 3, he's like, hey, Renee, would you like to switch jobs? And so we're like, I would like, yeah. So we went in and talked to Tim, and Tim's like, yeah, for sure. So John took over the AD job for a few years. I did assistant principal for 1 year. And then Dr. Tom Langdon approached me in the spring and said, I know you had desires to be an elementary principal down the road, but I want to put you there now. And so I was like, what? But I'm like, okay. So I ended up going into elementary administration, doing assistant principal and Hillcrest for about a month and a half, which was tough.
Yeah.
And then I dropped down to Riverview and Hillcrest for 3 years maybe.
We had a budget crunch back then.
Yes, we closed
I remember
buildings.
that well. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
Buckingham
hard.
was doing a lot on his plate
Yeah,
too.
Tim was
Tim.
doing the other 2 buildings.
Right. Yeah. It went well.
Yes.
No,
You guys-
too much work.
It
Whatever.
went well, for
Well,
sure.
you guys
It was-
did a good job.
yeah.
Tim never complained. Tim was out there, rolled
Yep.
his sleeves up, did a great job for Big Rapids,
Yes.
and he still is to this day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so you did Hillcrest, and then what
Hillcrest
you-
and Riverview.
Yeah.
Then we closed buildings due to the economy and the school budget with the state, and we sent the Hillcrest kids to both Brookside and Riverview,
Right.
and so we had
Another
quite a group of kids.
I remember back then the plan was to close Riverview and
Yeah.
sell that to the hospital.
Yes.
And there was a group of people that stopped
Oh,
that.
they were
real
up in
quick.
arms.
Oh yeah, they said
Yes.
no way, Hillcrest.
And I was on the hospital board trying to buy it.
right.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
school board, but
pretty
the
much
hospital.
That's right.
done deal. But Riverview. Let's face it, it was kind of the elitist.
Yes.
I remember it well back when I was a kid. We played ball against all 4 schools and their gyms: Hillcrest, Riverview, Brookside, and Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
And the status that it would go by is number 1 was Riverview. That was the elitist. Brookside was the second fiddle to them.
Yes.
Hillcrest was 3rd. Eastwood was the 5th ward.
Yeah.
Port
Yes,
ward.
for sure.
And but the toughest kids, it was reversed when it came to. I can't say it's too loud because there's a lot of people that graduated from Riverview. But if you wanted to get in a fight and maybe get beat, pretty much was done. It would be Eastwood. They had the Duffys and a lot of the Grosses.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
4 of my children graduated from Eastwood.
Well, I said the toughest.
I mean, they were good. They
Yeah.
weren't tough. They
Well,
were
I didn't say they weren't
good human
kids.
beings.
I'm just saying, let's
Okay.
face reality.
Yeah, but that was a
Like Cranbrook.
poor side of town. And I
Riverview is
lived
Cranbrook.
over there.
We're going to get off this subject, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, Bob, and we're going to stop right now because of Pete. Interruption. Pete, thank you. And we're going to take
You're
a break.
welcome.
Thank our sponsors, Bobby. You ready?
All right, back with more Curry's Corner in
Thank
just
you.
a couple of minutes.
Looked at Curry's.
Pete, why do you come to Curry's?
I go in there for breakfast every single morning, Pack, except the week. Well, on Sunday. I usually go to church. But I love the scrambled eggs and bacon and toast. Homemade.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you need a funeral home that understands your family's needs. The Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids and the Janowitz Family Funeral Home in Remus have been a trusted part of this community for generations. They do take care of every family like their own, and they hear it time and time again.
My name is Christina Beers. I would say there's lots of funeral homes in the area, but there's only a small few that can do it with class and with quality and with that personal touch and care. And I would put Janowitz Family Funeral Home at the very top of that list.
Let them help guide you through a challenging time with care, respect, and compassion. The Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids and the Janowitz Family Funeral Home in Remus. Local, professional, and here for you when it matters most.
Dale I've known for many, many years, and I tell you what, when somebody needs some help, he's there. Just like your typical Mecosta County resident, Dale Whaley is a good American. So if you're ever looking for a drywaller for free estimate, call Dale. I'm telling you, you're going to be happy with his work. I have recommended Dale to a lot of people, and you know what the greatest compliment I've ever gotten is thanks for sending Dale. He did a great job for me. Guy's just fantastic. Just not only is a drywaller with DW2 drywalling, but it's just a great person. It doesn't hurt to have him come into Curry's either. There's just so many good things about Dale. He's just a great American, and give him a call, DW2 Drywall at 231-679-0475. That's right, 231-679-0475. Dale Whaley is DW2 Drywall, greatest guy on drywalling end of it.
Pennzoil in Big Rapids is your quick-stop shop for oil changes and so much more. With certified techs and 35 years experience, they'll have you in and out in a flash, and a free car wash with every service. And don't forget about tires. As quickly as the seasons change in Michigan, it's easy to lose your grip. Luckily, Pennzoil in Big Rapids has the tires you need to dominate all seasons in Michigan. Big tires, fast Tires, Grippy Tires, Sleek Tires. Go see Zach Wells at Big Rapids Pennzoil today. He'll get you back on the road and ready to roll. That's Big Rapids Pennzoil, located at 710 North State Street, or give them a call at 231-796-4730.
Where do you go for Michigan's #1 concealed pistol license course? The same place thousands of Michigan residents have over the past 15 years, the Barrington Firearms Training Center. The BFTC conducts state-certified CPL courses right here locally inside the Barrington Conservation Club at 3444 18 Mile Road in Barrington. For just $99, all you need to bring us is your Michigan ID to these all-inclusive one-day CPL courses, which include the use of firearms, ammo, eye and ear protection, coffee and donuts in the morning, and lunch at noon. That's right, just $99 gets you everything needed to take the police department instructed course that includes the training necessary to safely load, unload, handle, and store your firearm. Students will also be trained on when it is legal to defend themselves with a firearm under Michigan's Stand Your Ground law and Castle Doctrine. Call 231-250-7257 or go online at michigancpltraining.com to register for one of their upcoming $99 all-inclusive CPL courses. Get armed, get trained at the Barrington Firearms Training Center.
How special is your mom? Hopefully, she's one of the most treasured people in your life. Well, Gilbert's Carpets Plus Color Tile thinks moms are the best, and that's why they're presenting the Marvelous Moms of Mecosta County. To honor your mom, or the woman who's been like a mom to you, Gilbert's wants you to submit her name and why she's special to you. The winner will receive $500 in window treatments from Graver. She'll be able to choose cellular, thaw wood, or roller shade. Area businesses will also provide additional prizes for the winner and runners-up. How to win her? Well, kids will be bringing home bookmarks with a special QR code. Just scan that code and enter the information, or simply stop into Gilbert's Carpets Plus Color Tile. Restrictions apply. Employees and immediate family members of Gilbert's or their sponsors are not eligible. The drawing will be held May 12th on Facebook Live. Marvelous Moms of Mecosta County. A great way to say thanks from Gilbert's Carpets Plus Color Tile. Additional prizes provided by Aloha Tan, E&M Hair, the Big Rapids Bowling Center, and Big B Coffee. WBZX Big Rapids.
1039, right, Bob? I used to say the point. Welcome back, you listeners out there.
#1 in the 80s, by the way.
Ain't bad, is it?
No, it's good.
Well, our guest this morning, Renee Kent. I had a long introduction on her earlier, folks. I know you were probably sitting back there going, well, who is it? Who is this mysterious lady? But anyway, she's a great educator. She's accomplished a heck of a lot in her lifetime. And I thought, Pete's never asked to have his daughter on and promote her, which we're not really promoting. She promotes herself. But for her accomplishments in her life, that what she's done, she's been a tennis coach, she's been a teacher, she's alluded to the fact that she was going to be in pre-med for a while there, and somebody talked her into going into education, just to bring you up on what we've talked about. But I want to stop for a minute and say, Marianne, thank you. We don't give Marianne Pitts much credit here on Facebook that she puts us on. I myself don't really, it doesn't bother me to be on Facebook, but...
you love it, Pat. Come on, love it.
Well, I think it's good for the guest, but not me. But anyway, thanks, Marianne, unsung hero here in WBZX. Anyway, Renee, we've talked about quite a bit in your lifetime here in a half an hour so far. And we have gotten to Riverview School. Quite often, whoever does your marketing, they do a great job. But it takes somebody to do a great job to have a marketer go in and say, this is a great school. We hear in and year out. How many years you been over Riverview now?
About 14.
You've been a blue ribbon school. You're the best of the best. What makes you the best of the best? What drives Renee Kent to go to work? A lot of administrators go to work. They don't make a relationship with the community. You have done that because your family's made that relationship. So that's helpful. You're a staple name in our community. Your dad has made sure of that, and he's done a great job. But you're following suit as your dad did. But we have other principals, and we have other assistant principals and secretaries and whatever in the schools, but you seem to excel amongst the excellers. I mean, they're all doing a great job. I hear nothing but good about Brookside. I think John Sacco's over there maybe, or is he with you now?
He's with me.
He's with you. That figures. See, so you get a team of people that, you're responsible for the failures and the accomplishments, but you have accomplished a lot. What drove you to be that way? I mean, you could have just gone to school and said, okay, I'm the administrator. I'm going to take care of the bad kids. I'm going to take care of the good kids. I'm going to pass out your report cards, blah, blah, blah. But you go beyond that.
Yeah, no, I attribute my drive to my parents. You know, there's not one of my siblings that isn't successful. And we've just been instilled to be passionate about what you're doing. And I absolutely love my job. And there's some ups and downs with it, but I love my job. And when I went to Riverview, so when Hillcrest closed, we brought some of that staff to Riverview. And over, I don't know, the first 4 or 5 years, people started retiring, so I was able to hire my own people. And I know what I want, and I know what will drive me and drive a school. So when I started interviewing, I knew who I wanted, and I put them in place. And then you build the relationships.
You have great staff. We'll touch on that a little bit.
Excellent staff.
How many grades? 4?
We
5?
have 1st through 4th, and we have 13 sections this year. So we have doubles of every class except for our 1st grade has 4 sections.
I know, and I'm not trying to say the other schools aren't great, because they are.
Yes.
But I know people that I talk to always say they want their kid to go to Riverview. That's their first choice. Of course, Pete is a great marketer on that too, with people that come in the community. And anyway, so if I look at your staff, the first one I think of is Melissa Shively.
Yes.
She's very passionate about her job.
Yes.
Let's talk about Melissa.
So,
what drives her?
For sure. Melissa Shively is like the epitome of a great teacher. And unfortunately, I am going to lose her after this year. She's decided to work at home and maybe do some stuff at Ferris and spend more time with her kids. And Melissa's just a class act. She's very knowledgeable. She is also very involved in the community. And she has, she keeps me on my toes. And she's just a quality person, and she loves kids.
Yeah, she is a great mother. Bill has alluded to that. He says she's like a nun.
She is awesome.
She's got 2 great boys that she's raising, and that is her number 1 priority in life. You can see that. Yeah, she's going to be a big loss.
She's
Carl
a huge
Depew. I think Carl got her hired at St. Mary's when she first came to town, married Nick. She's from Listo, Canada, Ontario. Been there. I love Listo. I've only been there twice. The first time I was there with her father-in-law, and I don't remember much of it because of the Budweisers. But
that's right.
Other than that, she is a great lady. I know her mother, very nice lady. She comes from a very, very good family from Listo, Ontario. And Carl got her job at St. Mary's, and it was a big loss, but her and Delphine DeFever jumped ship, and that's okay. There's more money, better retirement. Delphine was a great teacher. Let's talk about her a little bit, and she left you.
Right, so both Delphine and Melissa came at the same time, and another just quality, knowledgeable
Garner
teacher, Terry Garner.
Yep, I knew it.
Awesome.
Yeah, her husband's a great guy too.
Yes, Tom's great.
Yeah.
They're just passionate. I mean, all my employees are just passionate, and they love kids. And we want to work hard to be the best we can, and yet have fun.
Right.
The mission is, I want the kids to walk through our doors and say, this is the best place to be for 6 hours. And if you've come into my building, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
Because it's high energy. We've got all kinds of fun stuff all through the building.
Yeah. Well, and she came from St. Michael's.
Yes, Terry did.
Yeah, Terry did. So we got 3 Catholic proprio school teachers that came. What's that tell you?
And our assistant superintendent, Deb Tyson, came from
St. Michael's.
We're talking about Riverview.
Yeah.
All right. I know she did.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
No, I know it. So the Catholics have a little enrollment there. But anyway, who's your other one then, Renee? Who?
So I've got Mrs. Fox.
Yes, of course. Yes. How could I forget her?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got Mrs. Krebs. I have Miss Stickler, she's in a unique situation. She's on her 3rd loop. She started at K4 with the same group, and then she's gone 1st through 4th the last two times.
It's pretty tough being an elementary teacher. What is it about those girls that stand out? I mean, what do you have to have in you that you'd want to be an elementary? Because the parents today, some of those kids that come to school,
right.
But do you find, I find at the gas station, When I got an unruly little boy, Pete's seen me in action, I'll take him aside and talk to him, and their whole attitude changes because they know when they come through them doors at Curry's, they can't be having their radio on full blast. They can't be picking candy up off the counter and touching it and this and that until you buy it.
Right.
So I set standard there. You do that in your school?
Absolutely. We have a very good protocol and procedures in place, and just like we won't put up with anything. I mean, we set high expectations for our kids, and they know it. And we'll address it immediately and try to teach them the right way to do whatever they're doing. And we'll keep practicing until they get it right.
And then I see a lot of time you kind of get goofy.
Yes.
You like to get goofy. I've seen you in the bunny outfit at Easter time, and I've seen you at Halloween time. You get dressed up.
Yes.
You make it fun over there. I see those kids smiling. A lot of them don't get to smile, do they?
That's right.
And when they pour hot fudge, ice cream, spaghetti sauce, all this stuff on her once a year, I've been to every one of them, and it's incredible.
Yeah. The thing with kids is that you want them to be happy. And sometimes our kids come broken. And it's our job to set the academics aside and let's treat them with love and care, feed them, protect them while they're in our 6 hours with us. And there's nothing better than hearing kids giggle.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm in my office or I'm in a room and I hear kids out there laughing, and we've done our job because they're happy.
Do you do the disciplinary?
I have
or use the disciplinary?
discipline, but I've got John Zacco and Brad Ancliffe, both coming from probation court, that are amazing, and we really are a great team together.
Do you work with the parents? Like if you have a badass kid in there, you bring them in. You're the one that talks to the parent.
I'll bring them in, or John or Brad will bring them in, or the three of us will talk to the parent. But we're on it.
What do they say? They ask for help.
And say,
do they ask for help?
Yeah, some do.
Do they?
Yeah. And we try to guide them. And John, being in social work, and Brad, they can kind of help guide parents to resources that they might need, or we might give them strategies on how to work with their child at home.
I've seen some kids come through our system over the years and really look at them as children thinking, wow, you are going to end up in prison. But all of a sudden they come in the station when they're 26 years old and say, hi, Pat, and they're respectable, and they do make it. You know, it's kind of like, it's kind of a bad time in life for kids that go through that age.
Hardship,
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Do you see a lot of kids looking down at kids? Bullying? Do you see bullying at all in your school?
No, there'll be conflict, but...
How do you handle that, Renee? What do you do to a bowler?
We talk to kids. We bring kids in and talk to each other and find out the why of the behavior. And we explain to them where this will get them or what it'll do if you can change it.
But don't you think sometimes these kids that bully, there's an inner problem there that they're reaching out for help?
Yeah, and that's the why. It's like, why is this happening? And we have to dig deep sometimes to...
Got to be a psychiatrist, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a mind game.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on before we can even hit the academics for some of our kids.
Yeah. You know, I had a kid, I'll be honest with you, I'm a tough guy to work for.
Yeah.
My dad was tough, you know, and customer service was number one. They're the most important thing in your life. And so, that being said, I can be tough at times, and I was pretty tough on this one kid here, and it was too long ago before I retired, kind of semi-retired. Letting Matt do it. Matt doing a great job, a lot better than I ever did with people, with employees. I love him. He is so compassionate and
Matt's a good guy.
Yes, he
raised a great son.
Well,
Both of them.
I've been blessed.
Yeah,
I was away a lot. My wife kind of raised him, I think.
And your daughter, by the way,
Abby,
for sure.
But this kind of brings me tears because I was pretty tough on this kid.
Yes.
And I could almost start crying now. And I tell you, I'm 71. I got maybe 10 years left. Maybe I got 5, maybe tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I was pretty tough on this kid. And my son Matt said, Dad, stop. He goes, he's a good kid. He's trying his best, Dad. And by the way, he doesn't have a dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard.
So he looked at my son as a dad.
Yes.
and was trying to look at me as maybe a grandpa. And I turned around and I got teary-eyed, and I asked God for forgiveness.
Sure.
I really did,
Yeah.
and I get teary-eyed thinking about to this day. I'll never treat another young man like that the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And him and I have become very close. He loves me. I love him.
Right.
But isn't it funny that people surface like that and thinking, no, it's not about you. It's about me and my customers. No, it is about him too.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing better than having former students reach out to you via email or on the street and just say thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and we talk about that as a teaching staff and as parapros. It's like, listen, you have a lot of impact on kids, so make it the best impact you possibly can.
Yeah, I've never had anybody thank me.
Yeah.
But no, I'm only kidding. I have to. I'm good. I'm not all the badass guy, but I just learned my lesson the other day, and I'm getting too old, and I should have learned it years ago. But my son has. You know, when they say father teaches the son, sometimes the son kind of tells the father, and that's the relationship we have. We have a good relationship.
You've raised very good kids.
Well, thank you. But anyway, Renee, so how long do we do it? You're a young lady yet. What?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you, next year's my last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, who did you mentor? I'd fire you right now. I wouldn't let you quit.
Yeah, no, it's...
I love you. What do you mean? Who are you mentoring then?
33 years into the school district.
How many?
33.
Oh, my God, you look great.
Yeah, so I'm ready to
I don't blame you.
venture on to, you know, I might want to work with some college kids or get in that realm a little bit. But
or go back to coaching, maybe?
Yeah, maybe some coaching. I don't really know. I just want to be able to enjoy my life for a while.
Good for you, yeah. Well, you have longevity. Your mother and dad are both around, and they're both in their 80s, so you have that heritage. How about, have you mentored anybody? Has anybody kind of come in under your wing and said, hey, I want to be like you?
I've got a couple.
And is there something you could do later that you could
absolutely.
mentor?
I could come back and help mentor, or I can consult. There's many things I could do.
Do they have, or you really can't announce because you're not on the board, but do you have anybody that you would
There's
think?
possibly a good candidate out there.
Good. I don't know who they are. Let's announce it today on WBZX. I love the people. I like to make people laugh, don't I, Bob?
Yeah.
She laughed. She knew she couldn't do that. No, I don't blame. One more year.
Yeah, one more year.
What's the finale going to be like?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have a script?
Nope, it's going to be the best year ever for everybody. We're just going to do a lot of celebrating.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the awards that you brought to Big Rapids, to Riverview School, and to think that God almost closed it.
That's right. You know, I want to get on those
Actually,
awards
God
just
kept
a
it
little
open.
bit.
Huh?
I want to talk about those awards just a little bit.
Go ahead.
That is, so Riverview has received, like, Beating the Odds awards. We've been a rewards school many times with the state. And, you know, having the right teachers in place. I don't know if you've ever read the Good to Great book, but I swear by that book. Get the right people on the bus and get them in the right seats. And that's what my goal was. And I kept saying to my staff, I want to get the national blue ribbon. National blue ribbon. I was with the high school when they got the Michigan blue ribbon. I want to get the national blue ribbon. And so through hard work with the staff, our test scores started increasing to the point where we started getting looked at. And I had the state of Michigan call me. It was right around my birthday in February. It was on a Friday. And I just usually will leave on Fridays by 3:34. And I just happened to be there in my office like 4:35. And I got a phone call, and I picked it up. It was the state of Michigan. And they're like, hey, we'd like to recognize you as being a National Blue Ribbon school because you have to be nominated by your state. And would you accept that? And I'm like, absolutely. And so Riverview had to fill out a lot of documents and evidence of why we were good. And I never told my staff that about this. Nobody except for Tim Heist. And then I had to have Michelle Rasmussen sign the final submission of the paperwork. But I had my staff the whole 3 months working on questions about Riverview, like, you know, why are you guys successful, this and that. And I kept telling my staff, it's for school improvement. Well, by August, I got a call from the state and said, congratulations, you are a National Blue Ribbon school. You're one of the top 15% of schools in the United States.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So I kept it a secret until we had our first staff meeting. And I was carrying on with the staff meeting. Meanwhile, the gym was getting set up for the celebration. And then I said, well, I got a phone call, I got to leave. So I went down to the gym and I told one of the individuals I'd bring him down. So the staff came marching down to the gym and they're like, what is happening? Everything's in blue. And I said, congratulations, you're one of the top schools in the United States. And it was just the most amazing experience.
Yeah.
And from then we've been nominated. We're on our second year of being one of the top schools for the U.S. News and World Reports. And Riverview is the number 26 in the state of Michigan. And then we got a Talent First, being the top school on the west side of the state for literacy and reading. And then we just received the top position from niche.com for beating the odds of in performance with our schools. We are number one in Michigan. So, I attribute that to my staff.
Right.
All 43 of them that have done an amazing job. They just work so hard to be the best. And they can see it. If you put the time in and you have a team, not one teacher, there's any distension, we just move as a unit. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to all the awards we continue to keep getting.
Yeah.
I would like to say I think part of it's leadership. And Renee Kent does one heck of a job.
Well, she does, Pete, and you should say that about your daughter. But as you're speaking,
yes,
everybody's thinking when you're, and I'm thinking of Melissa again, Shively.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you be a blue ribbon school?
Yes, right.
I'm thinking Terry Garner. Why wouldn't you be a blue? I'm thinking of Mrs. Fox.
Yeah.
What's her first name again? Tracy.
Yeah.
I know her real well.
Yeah.
I love her husband. I just go blank sometimes. Right. Is that getting old, Pete? And then I'm thinking of your others that I'm not. I'm just thinking, well, you would be the Garners and all of them.
Yeah.
I know every one of them. And one thing that they all have in common is they love people.
Yes.
And they always have a grateful smile on their face for being alive.
Yes.
And I do believe they're all good Christians, because I think
absolutely.
If you're a Christian, you're going to be loved by others and love others.
Yeah.
And they all have that in them. I just think the world of your whole staff. And you did, like you say, Pete, it comes from leadership. You, I'm sure, pat them on the back a lot, but I'm sure a lot of other people do too. But yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I want to touch back on
go ahead.
Back to the Easter piece. I totally agree with you that Father Jager did an amazing job.
Yeah.
The churches looked awesome,
Yeah.
and he's just got that passion too to spread the word. And it's good seeing the old families of the Curries and the Kents and the people that we grew up with getting baptized at St. Mary's.
Right. Yeah.
The Horns. It's just that whole group of people just kept rising through it. And,
a lot of tears that night, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Of gratefulness.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was. There was one of the guys asked me, how could it last 3 hours? And Pete was there at 87 years old, and he was inspired by it, weren't you, Pete?
Yeah.
For 3 hours.
Yes.
And if you don't believe in God and the Bible, then you would think that was a long time. But every little bit of it had something from the Bible that you relived, that you'd forgotten maybe.
Yes.
And I was overcome by you and Brian, how you were so good with Christopher, teaching him the values of being a Catholic.
Yes.
And I think he's learned a lot in his life the last 6 months with
absolutely.
you two.
Absolutely.
And I saw Danny Haynes there, the public safety director, her
That's
and her husband
awesome.
Tyler.
So proud of her.
I am too, and two little beautiful girls.
Right.
And for them to go through that, it was just
incredible,
memorable night.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Father Jager, we have been blessed with him.
Yes.
Other I think of other reverends out there, DeBach out at Trinity Fellowship. I think the world of him. I think he's a great preacher. And that Pastor Ross out there to Resurrection Life, I listen to him on Sunday afternoons, if it's possible, if I'm not in church. But I love them all. And I think God has blessed us with a lot of good ministers here. But Father Jagger, what he has done at Ferris.
I know.
I mean, you brought me into this conversation, but look what he's done up there with those young and women.
Just look at the building.
Well, my son Matt said, Dad, you wouldn't believe how many college students are coming to church now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
ministry.
Relationships.
Yeah.
It's the relationships. Have you had him on the show?
No, we've been wanting to get him on. I know. We should have him on. Yeah.
He's a real great guy.
Yeah. Well, you have that gift too. In education. You're a Father Jagger in education. Look what you've done at Riverview. I'm just hoping that, like you say, you have somebody that you mentored that can take your place over, because it's a tough role.
It is.
I don't think you realize what you've done, the impact that you've had on all these kids. And I know a lot of guys are out there, my buddies are out there going, oh, look at him blowing smoke. No, I'm not blowing smoke. You've done. But you do remind me of a Barb Borth, and I know it's not going to happen, but it would have been kind of cool if you could have elevated, went to St. Mary's after Riverview, because that's what she did.
I think they asked her to, but...
I'm sure they did. I don't blame you, Renee, because I'm going to tell you what. Your dad's 87, I'm 71. I'm not dying tomorrow, hopefully. But if I did,
might be.
But if I did, I've had a great ride.
Yeah, for sure.
But the only thing I would say, I had a fast horse in front of me.
Let's talk about the horses just a second. I would like to say I had the honor of Celebrity
Race. Yeah. What year was that, Pete?
2013.
Yeah, okay.
And I had a lot of competition.
Yes, you did.
A lot of Kevin Sweeney and the principal of Riverview, Tommy Newcomb, and my daughter, Renee Kent, and I was very fortunate to even drive.
Yeah. That's been a lot of fun with you guys.
Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah.
But again, look how fast that's gone by. I look at, I have that one picture United Way gave me in 2012, and you're in it, and I'm thinking, wow, it was like yesterday.
Yeah,
and it's been 13 years.
Yeah, how about that?
This is our 26th year, excluding the COVID year.
I don't want to blow smoke.
No, we won't talk about it.
But let me just say, you've done a great job. But let me just say one thing. I know. You've put me on Big Red, you son of a gun. But let me ask you one thing. I would hope everybody in their lifetime could have a daughter like Renee.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
She... unbeknownst, she goes and works 10, 12 hours a day at school, because I know what time she leaves. And she works 6-7 days a week, not just 5. And the other thing I'd like to say is her mother is just a little bit younger than I am. And Renee cooks all our meals. She takes care of everything in our house.
Good.
And I've got another daughter that's also, 2 daughters, but another one that also does all my medical. So if you just have, you're blessed to have a daughter, like daughters, like I have and a son. I mean, I'm so blessed.
There you are.
Well, I appreciate that, Dad. You know, you've treated me well, and you've raised a great group of kids, by the way.
Well, you know one thing I admire about your dad, now we're going to puff Pete up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't like me, I'm Pete Kent.
Yeah.
That's what he's lived that way his whole life. It's okay if you don't like me, but I'm Pete Kent. You know the value of him by talking to him. He's not a BSer like, say, Bob over here. You might be a BSer and nobody really knows you, where you're coming from. We know where Pete's coming from all the time, and he is very proud of you. He talks highly of you, and that's a compliment, which should be. But you've done a great job. You Kents have done a good job. You came from the east side of Big Rapids. You weren't given anything, you know, even though Daddy's a multimillionaire.
I didn't have any money when we started.
But
no, and I think it's good, Pat, that, you know, Big Rapids is a great place.
It is.
It's a great small town feel. I left and I wanted to come back because I want to be impactful in my community, and I think I can after I get out of my job here.
Right.
But, you know, just the leadership, the families, the businesses, it's all great stuff.
You got to promise me one thing, though. When you do celebrate your retirement, you invite me.
Okay.
Because I want to be there.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a sad one, but I'm going to be happy for you, because it's going to be sad for the public schools. I know that. Well, and I'm sure some of you will carry on. I know we have some other great people in the community, but like you say, I go back to Melissa Scheibe. It's sad to see her go, because we know what she has done for Big Rapids. But on the other hand, we're very grateful to the good Lord that you were in this place at this time.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you about that. And and I think someone like Mrs. Shibley and myself, we will be able to do more now with the community because we'll have
good. Yeah,
so I think
good. Well, she might work at the gas station. You guys can come over and pump gas. Yeah. I want to touch on a few things before we leave here, Bob. And one, I want to get to the bits here a little bit. We've lost some great people.
Want to take a quick break? We have a couple more to do.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, Bob, could you go to a break? We'll be right back.
We'll come right back.
We'll be right back after this bathroom break.
I'm Seth Wenger from Wenger Insurance. For more than 100 years, we've been providing professional service and competitive insurance to West Michigan. Come visit us on Perry Street in Big Rapids or give us a call at 796-0778. We're here for you now, and we'll be here when you need us most. 796-0778.
A trusted landscape design starts with the right team, and the right team to discuss what can be is Michigan Landscape and Excavate. This team is led by Michigan lifer Jeff Garrett. Jeff has assembled a team that knows that high customer satisfaction is why they stay in business. He requires his team to be the most professional service you've ever worked with for both residential and commercial accounts. Grading and land sculpting, trenching, excavating, septic systems, bulldozing, retaining walls, hydro seeding, seasonal cleanup, one-offs. They're a full-service landscape and excavation contractor. Michigan Landscape and Excavate create complete landscape solutions to be uniquely personal. As they say, now that's magazine-worthy. They're committed to excellence. Text or call 231-349-4667 or email michigan.landscape.excavate@gmail.com.
Good morning, America. Back with 103.9 Bobby Aldrich Show. Or no, it's Curries Corner Show with the Pat and Pete Show. Whatever. We have a lot of titles here. But our title today was interviewing probably one of the best. They'll go down in history in Big Rapids Public School, Principal Renee Kent. She is an overachiever as far as I'm concerned. She came from a modest little brick house on the east side of town. Probably was going to work at John's Market for most of her life if she could get a job at all. But went to school, let that be known. She went to school here at Ferris and was going to be a pre-med. And the good Lord said, no, we have better plans for you. She went on to be the AD. She went on to be a tremendous tennis coach. Coached my daughter-in-law, Amanda. God bless her. Anyway, we've had some great stories. If you'd like to hear it, or if you know someone that would like to hear this interview today, you can streamline it on 103.9. BR 103.9. Goes all over the world, doesn't it, Bobby? Yeah. Shake your head. You can speak. No? Bob's got a bad thing with speaking, but anyway, he's got a voice for radio. But anyway, we were very grateful today, Renee, to have you on. You've accomplished and had a great ride. I know you're very appreciative. We're going to close out with your final moments on the radio here, and maybe after you retire, we'll have you back on and you can talk a little bit more. But
that'd be awesome. No, I do want to thank you, and I've never had an opportunity to hang out with my dad on the radio. So I do thank my father for his impact on my life, and I do appreciate the Curry family for all they do for Big Rapids and have continued to do. We've known each other a very long time, and I've gone to school with some of your siblings. So I want to thank my Riverview team for all that they continue to do, and we want to just make sure that we have the next 2 years be the best they can be. So thank you.
Well, here's a little quote from Rhonda Olson. Everybody knows Rhonda Olson. Some know her as Rhonda Warner. I loved Barb and Skip.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I used to drive school bus for the Warners kids.
Oh, did you?
I used to get them in there too early, so they said, you're going too fast in that bus, Pat. I had the longest route.
She's got a son, Mason, that I really enjoy.
I'd stop at her mother's house, and she'd have cookies and milk for me, and I'd sit there for 15 minutes, and I'd drive in. So the route still went the same time, but I got there. Anyway, she says here, my son is a junior in high school. He went to Riverview for all of his elementary school, and he ran into Renee in a store recently.
Yes.
He was so impressed that she knew his name and knew exactly who he was. And of course, he knew exactly who she was. Here's Amanda Davis. Mrs. Kent is amazing and always has been one of my favorites. And then she said, hi, Mrs. Kent. So you've touched a lot of people.
Miss Kent.
Miss Kent, yeah. Well, she said Mrs.
Yeah, that's fine.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. I think you've done a great job, and I'm very thankful for you to come on today. We've asked a lot of people to come on this show, and they decline. Wonder why that is. No, but I'm glad. And you know, Pete, you've impressed me today. You didn't jump in on a lot of these things.
I know.
I think that there's probably nobody more proud as a father than you are as a daughter there.
You're right.
And we're grateful for both of you.
Love her to death.
For sure. Because you know, Big Rapids is a small town. A lot of people have accomplished a lot in this town. I could name a lot of people, but I'm not going to name them all. But you guys are on the top.
Yeah.
You definitely are, and I really appreciate that. And
Thank
that's not blowing smoke.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
very
appreciate
much.
that.
All right. Well, Renee, we'll let you go back. God bless you. Thank you for everything. Pete's taken off too, and I just want to talk about a few people that have passed, and then we'll let the show go on the air at about 10-15 minutes here. So thanks again, Renee and Pete. Yeah. We'll take a break, Bob. Can't take a break? Can't play a song?
Nope. I can.
You know what our song was we talked about this morning?
What's that?
Guess.
I have no idea.
Randy Travis.
No, return to sender.
You bet, Renee. Bless you. So anyway, Randy Travis. But on the other hand, there's a golden band. I don't think she'd understand. Shively and Heinz Podolsky, we were laughing. I was trying to sing it like Randy, you know, but it doesn't come out that well. Anyway, that was great. Renee was a great lady, eh, Bob? Great interview with her, huh?
Yep.
And Pete, he let her talk. That was great. Thank you, Peter. Well, this morning we're sitting at the table, and it was brought to my attention that Bob Angers passed. Bob, I don't know what year he graduated in. I would say back in the middle 60s, maybe 65. I remember I was still in probably 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. He was one of the star football players and a star person back in high school. He comes from a modest family from the 5th Ward over there. I think they lived on Bronson Street. They weren't a rich family by any means, but they were rich in love, and they worked hard for what they got, and Bob worked hard in his life. I think he was 78 years old when he was taken by the good Lord the other day. I think this, just Monday, I think it was, or whatever. My memories of him is he always smiled at me when he'd come in the station. He was a big part of Big Rapids for many, many years, and moved and came back. And whenever he came into town, he always stopped in and see us. And a big man and a stature and just a big heart. But man, was he a football player. I think he was the fullback. Somebody out there probably will correct me on Facebook when I write it up on my Facebook page. But Bob's going to be missed by a lot of people. Great family, the Angers, and we're going to miss him. My cousin Dick Kyling, Richard Dick Kyling, grew up out here in Pineview School area. His mother, Mary Federley, was a Kyling, John Kyling's daughter, along with my mother. And one thing about my mother, my sisters and brothers, we message each other every morning and say good morning. And we just have a great relationship, and that was because of my mother. My mother, every Sunday after church, she would gather all 12 of us and grab us and put us in the station wagon like a bunch of little pigs that we were, and take us to one of her siblings, which she had 7. So every Sunday, we would see a cousin, be at Gary Kyling's house, or Mary Rose and Sharon Federley, Stacy Chaput, be Sharon's her mother. We'd go out to the Federleys, and we'd go to the Kylings and what have you. But anyway, I remember Mary Federley very well for her pies. And her son Dick, he was the second son. He just passed away the other day. Little story on Dick. He raised his family, him and his wife, his first wife. She's deceased about, probably 19, 20 years ago. And he had a place up here. He always kept a place up here on 6 Mile Road out there in Norwich Township, or Goodwill, one of those two. Anyway, he was in the maple syrup, and he had a little tool and die shop down there in Marne, and his boys to this day have it. He raised a nice family, and they'll be here today to celebrate his life here at 11 o'clock at St. Mary's. Dick was a quiet man. He would sit in the first pew, struggled to get in there lots of times, him and Carol, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, back in the day, he would make maple syrup, and he was very proud of it, and he was a professional at it. People loved his maple syrup. Either he sold it or he gave it away to people that couldn't afford to buy it. Dick was a generous man. He was a monster man. He had big hands just like all the other Kylings did. When you shook his hand, you knew it was a man's hand you were shaking. Anyway, he loved his wife, and I remember when she passed, they were very close. They'd go dancing and just had a great relationship, and we'd all be so lucky to be like that, I guess. He missed her so bad that he went into a depression. And I remember one Sunday, him and I were talking out back of the church, and he cried. And he says, Pat, I don't know if I can live without her. Well, I said, Dick, I'll pray for you. And he prayed too. Every Sunday I prayed for him. I saw those sad eyes sitting in that pew all by himself. After Mass, he was very quiet, never said much to anybody for quite a long time there. And then one day an angel said, I'm going to send you Carol Scheid. She had lost her husband, Jerry, years before. And they got together, and the rest is history. 18 and a half years of wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship. Those two were in church every Sunday. We'd sit there in that first pew, and you could see how grateful both of them were for their companies of each other. We should all be so lucky. I know I am. I got a great wife, and I know a lot of you folks do too. But be grateful and just realize that it can be taken away tomorrow. And then all of a sudden you're alone. Well, Carol came into his life and her family, and they generously accepted Dick. And they were married for 18 and a half years. And today we bury him. But not without a lot of smiles, because you know what? Without Carol, I don't think Dick would have lasted this long. He had wonderful children, don't get me wrong, but the relationship wasn't there that he had for his first wife. Carol rekindled that light in his life. They went out dancing on Saturday nights. You'd see them out on a Friday night. They were out having good dinners. They were having fun. And that's what the good Lord wants us all to do, is have fun. No bitterness, no hatefulness. But anyway, now Carol has lost two great guys. Jerry Scheid, one of my best friends back in the day, and so many great memories. But it was fitting that Dick would carry on the tradition of marriage for Carol and for Dick, for Carol to be in his life. But anyway, I guess it all boils down to life is a great ride if you make it that way and you have great people in it. But just remember one thing, hate, you only have that. Love, everybody has it. I'm going to leave it at that, Bob. Thank you very much for the time this morning at 103.9. I hope everybody out there carries on the tradition of Easter every day. And remember what Pastor Ross preached about Sunday out at Resurrection Life, or Mr. DeBach, the Reverend out there at Trinity Fellowship, preached on Sunday. Remember those words. I know I'll remember Father Jaggers. God bless America, and God bless you all.
Curries Corner.
Brought to you by Big Rapids Pennzoil and Auto Repair, Seth Winger at the Winger Insurance Agency, Gilbert's Carpets plus Color Tile, Barrington Firearms and Training Center, DW2 Drywall,
The Monk Janowitz Funeral Home in Big Rapids and the Janowitz Family Funeral Home in Remus,
and Michigan Landscape and Excavate.